Welcome. Rain traditionally was a trigger for me for sadness because I think when I was a kid, I couldn't go outside, I couldn't play because it was raining, and that made me sad. My husband, on the other hand, he's from a different part of the world, and it's very cloudy and overcast there, so he feels really at home and familiar with this kind of weather, and he likes it a lot. I think the big thing there, the takeaway is it's really a matter of perspective in life, right? Well, today's video, we're going to talk about coping with sadness in retirement. And we're going to talk about introverted people and how that plays into sadness. Being alone isn't necessarily inherently sad. I like being alone, a lot of people do, but growing up or seeing somebody interact with a smaller person, a child, they actually will say something like, oh, they're so shy, as if it's a negative critique. And the reality is maybe they just don't have anything to say and they don't choose to say anything at that moment. It's not bad. I have had a career in sales, and in sales, you're talking a lot. You're trying to explain things to customers. You're trying to understand what they need, and that is something that causes me, when I get home, to not really want to interact a great deal with people for a while socially. I love being around my kids. I love being around my friends, but I like my time too. And that doesn't make it bad. I think it's a strength because it recharges me. It keeps me centered. So there's a lot of good things about it. One of my favorite isolation activities is to go to a coffee shop and just sit there by myself and watch the people go in and out and just enjoy that solitary time. Even though there's people around, I like just being there and doing my own thing. What I like mainly about being by myself, I think, is the idea that I don't have to have group discussions about what we're going to make for dinner, what I might want to do that day. I can just do my thing. And sometimes I just like to, quite often actually, I like to just putter around my place and not have anything going on, no noise, no music, nothing. And I really enjoy that quiet time, and it gives me a good chance to just be me and be still. So like I said, I don't find it a weakness at all. I think it's a strength. Well, my name is Dave, and the channel I have is called Presence Without Practice. We help people find peace through presence, and we have some different fast techniques for that. And if you want to know more, you can check out our website, presencewithoutpractice.com. Most self-help books or self-help videos, if they're dealing with sadness, they might ask you to take a deep dive into you and figure out what makes you sad. And that makes sense, right? But the reality is, from experience, I have spent years in therapy a long time ago, and it was very good at finding the origin, the history of me, why I had certain feelings, why I did certain things, why I viewed certain things in certain ways. And there were volumes, I'm sure, that my therapist documented of all of these historical facts about me. But when I would leave the office, I wouldn't get a reprieve, or I wouldn't feel like things were solved after a short while. I would start to kick in my emotions again. I would start to have feelings of sadness or other feelings that were holding me back from living my life peacefully. And somebody turned me on to the teachings of presence and getting present. And as I started to dig into that, what I found was I was overthinking life. my mind was controlled by egoic thinking, they call it. So it's like you're always thinking about the past, you're always thinking about the future, and all the emotions that go into all of those things. And it really keeps you from living in this moment. And the only time that really exists is this present moment. It just doesn't make any sense to live in the past and the future, which don't exist anymore. And let's go ahead and try an exercise in getting present so you can see how cool it is and how great it feels. I'm going to give you a really good exercise. It doesn't cost a dime. It's really easy to do. You can do it anywhere, anytime. You can do it standing up, sitting down, eyes closed, eyes open. What I want you to do is breathe. Just breathe in, breathe out. You don't have to change the way you breathe, or you can. You don't have to breathe deeply or shallowly. Just breathe and focus on that breath. Notice how it feels. Notice the breathing in and out. Just be aware of that. And try to notice it without really thinking about it, without passing any judgment on how you're breathing. Just focus on the breathing. And when you're focusing on that breathing, you have no choice but to live in this present moment. Your mind is focused on what is happening right now, and that's breathing. I guess if you're not breathing, there's a much bigger problem, right? And you can do that exercise whenever and for however long you want to do it. What will happen sometimes when you're first getting started in that exercise is thoughts will come into your mind and they will spiral around, and you want to follow them because that's what we're used to. And you can do that. Don't worry about it. But if you can, try to bring yourself back to focusing on breathing as soon as you're done following that thought. What that thought is your egoic mind. Your egoic mind doesn't have any power, and it doesn't exist really in the present moment. So it's definitely afraid of you living in the now, because if you're not in the past or the future, your egoic mind doesn't hold that importance and that sway over you. Our minds are very valuable tools, but we are not our minds. We are not our thoughts. We are the thinker of our thoughts. We are the observer of those thoughts. And we can control that if we break that addiction or that connection to the egoic thought pattern that fills our head with noise all the time. It's a pretty simple technique, right? Well, what does presence do, and why is it important, and how can it chase away sadness? Well, with the practice of presence, you can turn that frown upside down pretty easily. And I know that sounds corny, but it does change your mood right away. Being present quiets our mind, like I said. Our egoic thoughts exist in those two worlds, past and present. I was a police officer for a while when I was younger, and one of the things I learned was when you ask people to remember something, even a significant something in the past, they generally can't recall it accurately 100%. So not only if you live in the past and you let your mind take you to the past, not only are you thinking and wasting time on something that already occurred and doesn't exist right now, and you're ignoring the present moment, which is the only thing that exists, but it probably isn't accurate anyway. I mean, there are bits of it that are true, but generally it's not really all true. And then there's the future, which nobody knows the future, so it's either going to happen that way or not happen that way, and to waste a lot of energy on it is pointless. I mean, it's fine to plan for the future. You certainly can do that. You think, oh, getting back to the rain analogy from the video, you might think, oh, it's going to rain perhaps today. I'll take an umbrella. That's fine, okay? but we'll talk about where it's not fine to deal with future events emotionally. Basically, when you are present, you are going from living in, say, a bathtub to living in a lake. So if you have a storm and you're in, say, the shallowness of a puddle or a bathtub, you feel that choppy water very easily. The challenges that life throws at you, and even when you're present, you're still going to have challenges in life. Those challenges you can feel if you're not very deep in presence. But if you go deeper in presence, then the cool thing is you're in this deep lake and storms can rage above you, but it won't rock you. You're aware of them and you can think clearly and deal with them, but you don't have to have it control your life. Let's try another technique. It's called the 5-4-3-2-1 focus exercise, and it's a pretty powerful way to settle down and get calm and get peaceful. And it works even better sometimes than the breathing technique, simply because it just forces you to focus on this moment right now, even more so than breathing. I think it even kind of clears your egoic thinking out of your mind. So let's try it, all right? So look around, pick 5 things that you can see. Your shirt, the sky, whatever. 5 things that you can see. You don't have to say them out loud. You don't have to close your eyes. You can stand, you can sit, you can lay down. All right. And now 4 things that you can hear. So 4 things that you can hear. If you're having trouble with it, go ahead and snap or tap a table. Give yourself some things that you can hear. And then 3 things that you can feel. And again, going back to your clothing, you might feel your shirt or your pants on your skin, against your skin. You might feel your feet in your shoes, maybe your feet in your socks. Maybe you can feel cool air or warm air blowing across your skin. So 3 things you can feel. And then I want you to find 2 things that you can smell. It could be fresh air, it could be your deodorant, it could be cologne, whatever. 2 things that you can smell. Just focus on all of these things. And then 1 thing that you can taste, whatever that is. Maybe it's just the inside of your mouth. 1 thing that you can taste. And that's the 5-4-3-2-1 focus technique. And if you get through that and you find you still want to stay present and you really want to try to just have that sense of peace by living in the now, you can change over to the breathing technique. You could change and do the 5-4-3-2-1 technique again and again. It's up to you. Or if you need to take a break and come back later, that's fine. Also, if you catch yourself being sad and you're sad for the day, and then the next day, like tomorrow, you wake up and you're like, man, I should have tried those techniques. You can do it then too. So there's no harm, no foul. It's a very forgiving practice. Retirement can bring sadness. It certainly is a change of pace. You're used to being out and about, maybe having a routine all the time, seeing people, and now it's not that way. You're isolated more. Maybe you don't have as much money in retirement. Maybe there are people who are working and don't have time for you. There's a lot of things. Some people, when they retire, find it's like initially they're living their best life. They're going to wake up when they want, go to bed when they want, do whatever they want, and after a while, maybe that starts to get a little stale, and you want to try to find some other things, perhaps, that help you to reinvent yourself, enjoy your retirement more. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean a group social outing, but you could learn a language. That's a great thing to help keep your mind sharp and add a skill. Then you can incorporate some travel with that if you'd like. You might decide you want to learn an instrument or learn to cook if you haven't done a lot of cooking, or maybe there's some dishes that you always wanted to learn to cook that you love ordering out. I think another nice thing about retirement is you can actually take this time to repair an old relationship. And with presence and the practice of presence, it makes it so much easier. The bottom line is you can end suffering from sadness with presence. In each moment, we do have choices. And even when you're present, what's going on this moment, you still have choices. So if it's raining, you might choose not to go out in the rain. If it's raining, you might say, I'm going to take a rain jacket or an umbrella. Or maybe it's raining and you don't have any of those things and you have no choice. You have to go out in the rain for whatever reason. Then you just have to suck it up and go do it. And there are times in life where we have no option but to just go through that part of life. But when we're present and we're not mixing the cloudiness of the past or the future, we can approach the challenges that life throws at us right now in a very clear and accepting way. And we can be wiser about what's going on. We can be more aware. We can be kinder, more loving to other people, to ourselves. And if you think about it, it really does make sense. Because if it's raining and you're going to get mad because it's raining, oh, it's raining, this stinks, oh, I don't want to get wet and blah, 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 blah. You know, if you're getting like that, then you're resisting something that really is pointless. You can't change the fact that it's raining. And for you to get upset and cause yourself suffering over that or other people suffering over that is crazy. If you accept each moment as though you chose it, then you stop being in resistance to this life, to the moment now, the only time that really exists. And if you can stop that, you can bring yourself so much more peace and contentment, and you can chase away the sadness. And sadness might show up every once in a while, but with the practice of presence, it won't last. It won't ruin your day. So if you enjoyed this video and you're ready for a rapid and permanent technique to help you get present and stay present, please check out presencewithoutpractice.com. We also have some other videos. You can click on the link here. And thank you so much for watching. Let's take that journey together towards presence.